Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Now, I got to see some waves. Hello, everyone. Oh, fantastic. What a delight to be here, and what a joy to find a way to make this happen, because my world is so incredibly busy right now, and I love nothing more than to have this conversation and to be able to engage in the depths of it. So the fact that we pulled all this together is just phenomenal for me too. So my heart is warm. I'm ready to roll. I thank the shift so much, and I'm still marveling over the fact that Stephen was able to talk me into having this happen in this moment in time. And, you know, everything is in divine order, and we are all gathered here at just the right time to dive more deeply into the truth of who we are. I'd love for us to take a moment and center and ground together and unify as a newly organized family. As we've been through some courses together, and we bond in a bandwidth of humanity and human consciousness that is encircling the globe. And as we deepen our understanding, we are raising the vibrational frequency of what we've already created. So I want you to just imagine a bandwidth encircling the globe up overhead, and it goes all the way around the earth and meets up on the other side again. And you have the capacity to upload into that bandwidth and to download from that bandwidth anytime that you need and anytime that you choose. And so we're going to be consciously placing some significant energies into that bandwidth for all of humanity throughout our course, because that is why we're here. That's really why we're here. We're not here just to heal. We're not here to just receive. We're here to awaken. And as we awaken, we recognize that we are giving and receiving simultaneously. That's the only thing that is real. We are actually in the wholeness exchange constantly and continuously. And as we begin to perceive ourselves as such, we need less. We think less. We are more. We perceive that we are more, and we action as if it's true. And when that happens, humanity is shifted because of one single thing that you do as an individual. So I'm not here to receive. This is how I want you to sense and to feel into this program. I'm not here just to receive. I'm here to exchange. I'm here to awaken. And as I awaken, I am both giving and receiving simultaneously. So let's take a deep breath in and just connect with this grid, this bandwidth for human consciousness that is here as the great service of the cutting edge of consciousness itself. So let's take a deep breath in and breathe deeply into your bellies so that you can feel and you can sense and you can know that this moment is a perfect and divine moment. And it is a moment that activates the aspect of me that is eternal. That aspect of me is going to have a lot of airtime during this program, a lot of nurturing, a lot of remembering, recollecting, activating. There are going to be transmissions that are happening here on an ongoing basis to enliven the deep truth of who you are. So we take a deep breath in and exhale through your body, as you know how to do, through your central channel into the earth. Just exhale into the earth. And then take a deep breath in, up from the earth, right into the core of your being, and sit down inside the body. Be comfortable inside the physical dimension, and exhale right up from the heart, up through the throat, up through the third eye, and out the top of the head. And then take a deep breath in from high overhead. Reach high overhead with your conscious concentration, and take a deep breath, drawing it down into the center of the brain, down into the throat, down into the heart, and let it feel good. And as you exhale down through the solar plexus and down through the belly and down through the pelvic bowl and Mula Bandha, you exhale down into what we will come to know very well as chakra 10, the chakra of your destiny. And as we exhale into that chakra 10, we feel the reciprocity. We feel the warm embrace of Mother Nature. And take a deep breath in, up from the heart of the Mother Divine, the heart of Mother Earth, the heart of Mother Nature herself, and allow that grand receptacle for infinite intelligence to be caught, captured, cultivated. Allow that place now, deep in your belly, to become enlivened. For it is here that we need to live from. We breathe up from this place to the heart, and we filter this through love. And may every intention, may every activation that occur in my life during this course serve not only my life purpose, my soul purpose, but the purpose of all of humanity and the expansion of consciousness. The delivery into the third dimension of the higher frequency energies of the fourth and fifth dimensions and beyond. And that may we know the wholeness, the truth of who we are as we proceed through this course. And a deep exhale out through the top of the crown and into this bandwidth that we're working with overhead, this grid for humanity that is our bioenergetic, enlivened grid of consciousness. That everything that we aha and revel in, every revelation that we experience during this course, be added to this bandwidth, so that those in need on the other side of the planet, or even my neighbor next door that doesn't have any idea about these principles and these practices being a possibility, they might, for some unknown reason, forgive their parent or their child or their spouse in ways that they never anticipated or cannot even explain. All because they're breathing in a more qualified breath, because the air around them has changed simply because of what we are doing. Might seem out there, a far stretch, but this is exactly what is happening. Take a deep breath in and just exhale as we begin. We get to join into a conversation, pick up on a conversation that we've been deeply investigating through our introductory course with the shift. We are going to expand upon that, but at first, of course, I want to just remind you of a few things. Basically and initially, I want you to understand that you are, have been, I should say, seated in the wrong seat. You've been sitting in the wrong seat, and the seat that you've been sitting in has not been the seat in which you can master your life experience. No matter how many techniques you have developed, no matter how much effort you have put into it, no matter how devoted you have been, humanity has been sitting in the wrong seat, meaning we are a compilation of energies, a compilation of vibratory frequencies. We have different faculties, different aspects of who we are, and we're supposed to be seated in Grand Central Station and be able to utilize each of those faculties as is appropriate in any given moment. But what has happened is we have become identified as one of our tools. Instead of being the Grand Master seated here, being able to access our tools in any moment, doing and delivering anything that we feel inspired to do or deliver, what has happened instead is we've become identified as one of those things we're supposed to be utilizing, and our capacity gets greatly limited. We've been identified as the mind. When we land here, we splat, and when we splat, we disperse and we forget who we are. We don't have clarity on it. And so in the midst of all that chaos and all that dispersal, we develop a personality out there on the front line of our engagement with the outer world. We develop a way of being that is based in survival. We develop a way of being that allows us to get the job done or get by or have something work out okay in our favor in some fashion. Seems to work, and so we do it more. We get some rewards and some successes, and so we keep doing it more. We get up earlier and do it longer throughout the day, do it later into the night, thinking that if I just do more of this, I'm going to be more successful. It's going to work more in my favor. And what ends up happening is we exhaust our systems. We exhaust chemically, we exhaust mentally and emotionally and physically. We exhaust our systems, our digestive system, our immune system. Everything starts to implode because we're operating as a separate self, isolated and encapsulated. And what we have to do is recognize that we are not an isolated, separate self. We are, in fact, a stream. And that stream is moving energy constantly. And so we began in our introductory course to recognize, whoa, time out. That's what I've been doing. I didn't even realize it. I've been operating as an isolated, separate self, and I'm a little bit exhausted in trying to do all the things that need to get done or that I feel inspired to do or that I want to have happen in my life. I'm getting exhausted because I'm going about it the wrong way. And so we recognized in the introductory course, we have to pull ourselves back together from the splat. We have to come back home to ourselves and call it back into the central channel of the body, come onto subject instead of being dispersed out there on object, with our attention and our senses looking external to try to find a way of being, a way of engaging, a way of surviving. And that's just not okay. It's not enough, and it's certainly not what you're here to do. There is so much more in store for you. And this course is not only going to talk about it, it's going to dive into it and animate as that inspired cosmic being that we truly are, and learn to perceive ourselves as such, and look into the world and into this body and into the physical dimension from an entirely different perspective, a bird's eye view perspective, if you will. As every indigenous culture has documented, is the goal, is the point. As every sacred text has reminded us, that there is always a flying up of consciousness, and then someone operates or exchanges with the gods and the goddesses that they depict, that they recognize, that they were trying to use as the symbology of this very conversation. You are not a human being. You are an energy being human. You are invisible energy, and right now you are being human. You are not this body, and you are not the mind. But in the splat, when we dispersed, we came up from the splat with the mind stuck onto us so much that we thought that's who we were. And it's filled with beliefs that are limiting. It is filled with ideas and of insufficiency and inadequacy that are just not going to serve you anymore. So in the introductory course, we get this off of us. We learn it. Whoa, this is different than this. This is different than this. And I'm going to keep it this way. And so we're learning how to anchor in the core and have an awareness of the place where we can cultivate this energy with such potency and certainty and clarity and consistency that we can start to begin to feel ourselves operating a little less conditionally, a little less fearfully, a little more greatly in tune with a sense of self, regardless of our circumstances, regardless of how they treated me in the second grade, or how my mother or my father were toward me, or how my siblings were never this way or that way, or how my spouse just doesn't get me, or how my children have been so heartbreaking in my life. Rather than continuing to operate relative to the outer world and the exchanges that are happening there, we are learning to recognize that all of that is a movie that we're projecting out there, and we're projecting the movie to get the feedback so that we can start to sense and feel how we're doing with managing ourselves as a cosmic being, as an energy being, as a spiritual being, a spirit being. All right. So one of the things that we mentioned in the introductory course was, part of the problem is we're trying to connect with spirit. And the problem is you are spirit. So trying to connect with who you are is really what's happening. But if we speak about it as though I'm trying to connect with spirit, I'm trying to become more spiritual, I'm trying to get in touch with spirit, or I listen to spirit, I let spirit guide me. When we operate from that perspective, and this is a huge leap for this kind of a conversation. This is why we're so engaged and so enthusiastic about this course, and what's coming down the pike is a true distinction of the fact that you're not here to listen to spirit. You're here to be spirit. You're not here to connect with spirit. You're here to remember the truth of who you are, which is that spirit being that we've been trying to connect with. The reason that we can't find it is because it's behind the eyes that are looking, right? It's like this amazing game of hide and seek. And so we're here to drop back into the truth and look out into the world from spirit. Look out, speak out, action outwardly from the place of spirit. So we're not trying to seek the spiritual life. We're simply recognizing life as a spirit being. We're giving the soul a chance to have the life that it came here to have. But we're going to go a step further, and we're not even going to talk about the soul as a separate entity that we're trying to listen to. It's the same thing that I'm speaking about. You are the soul. You do not have a soul. So if you come off of this course and say, well, Dr. Sue says, I don't have a soul. I don't even have a soul. I don't want you to be confused here. I am talking about the fact that you are the soul. You not only have a soul, you are the soul. And you are here to learn how to manage your mind to serve you. And first, of course, in the introductory course, our objective was to get the mind to find you. Now, we first have to start talking about it from the perspective of the mind, because that's where everyone's been living. So we start saying, okay, when something happens in your life that's upsetting, that has a charge, that has fear associated with it, or that has hesitation associated with it, dread, doubt, any kind of aspect of life that is like digging your heels in or just doesn't feel free, then you want to take your attention to the body instead of taking your attention to the mind even more and writing a story about why that is true, or going out into the outer world and engaging with people out there that are in the movie that we're projecting and saying, you know, if you would just behave differently, I would be okay. If you would just know that whenever I look this way, you're supposed to behave that way if you want us to get along. You know, when we're operating like that, trying to learn how to control our external environment, life gets pretty intense. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that no matter how many times you try to teach people how to behave in your world so that everything can work out just fine, they seem to like ultimately just refuse to do so? They seem to like just say, no, not so much, no matter what. And then we talked about the bus stop conversation, where in the bus stop conversation, we have soul contracts where we're basically saying, look, no matter how much I think I need you to behave a certain way, just don't do it. No matter how much I beg and scream and kick and throw a tantrum and throw things at, you know, up against the wall, or slam the door, or leave the house, or whatever, you know, your favorite flavor might be, or how often I retract or play come fetch me, like if you know how upset I am, you're probably going to come and make sure I'm okay at some point. No matter how much I do that, at the bus stop, I said, just ignore me. Just don't give it to me that way, because I'm really interested in coming into this dimension and having an experience of myself that is much more free than that kind of conditionality is requiring for my okayness to be experienced. I'm really interested in a little bit more liberation than that. And so we talk about the fact of letting go of our attachments, letting go of our idea of the way things have to be in order for us to be okay. And we learn to direct our attention inward. Because in the splat and in the dispersal, we start looking externally everywhere to see, am I okay? Is this right? Am I behaving properly? Do you like me? Am I accepted? Is this going to work? You follow? And so our senses are developed externally oriented. So in the level 1 course, we said, no, not going to do that anymore. We're going to direct our attention inward. We have to walk with one eye on the inside. We have to drop in and sense and feel and constantly be evaluating what's going on in this inner laboratory that is my body, that is designed to give my mind feedback so that my mind and my body can work together to serve me, which is the soul. Okay? So the soul speaks to the body and the body speaks to the mind. And previous to the level, you know, the introductory course here, the mind wasn't listening. The mind was off writing stories and being right about things and being upset about things and building a case against things, all of which is possible, all of which is legit, and all of which is painful. And so we're here to learn to stop doing that. And it's just that simple. Now, it's just that simple in that it's not complex, but it isn't easy to break those patterns until it is. And it becomes easier when we build more neurocircuitry to be able to sustain our disposition as the soul. So we started working with, how do we build the neurocircuitry? Now, you can do that by just building new habits, building new habits, building new habits. But I have to tell you, that's a linear approach, and it takes a little longer than it really needs to do. If you are devoted and the energetic of the breath of loving presence is in the mix, these things can transmute and transpire and transform instantly, to the degree that you're not having to become repetitious and disciplined in such a fashion that it's rote and over and over and over. Now, that's one way of doing it, and I encourage you to do that if it's not working from another perspective. And what I mean by that is, on a daily level, make sure that, you know, numerous times a day, you're taking your attention to the body and you're squeezing what we've referenced as your 4 anchor points, which I'm going to review again, that you're coming home and coming onto subject 1,000 times a day, that you're constantly, repeatedly remembering, oh, I'm not supposed to be writing the story. It doesn't really matter why I think they did what they did. It doesn't really matter that I draw this brilliant conclusion on how people operate and what the deal is, because the bottom line is, if I can come home and be awake and empowered and grounded and integrated inside my own ability to be fully present, I'm empowered no matter what the situation is. If I'm fully present and have a sense of self rolling through my conscious awareness all the time, it doesn't matter what happens next. It doesn't matter what inspires this person or what tends to happen and what their patterns are. And if I could diagnose them as this kind of a person or that kind of a person or this kind of a person, based on the numerous types of spectrums and scales that are available for us to have those kind of identifications of people. And they are helpful. They are helpful, but I want you to understand that they are all speaking to us from the level of the mind. And they are making beautiful distinctions about the level of the mind. And if you want to just carte blanche, have a quickening, it's not going to be through the level of the mind that you completely awaken. It's not going to be the level of the thinking, analytical, strategical mind that you set yourself free. It's going to be through the observing sensory system that allows you to perceive something without having to think and understand and predict. And it's a difficult thing for us to try to make that distinction. And so we have that entire introductory course to start to build an understanding of that. And of course, we're going to continue to enhance that in the midst of this advanced course. You bet, that's what it's all about. And we're going to take the conversation a little further. We're going to stretch you out beyond your humanity into your own divinity. We're going to speak to you about the chakra system that is such a high frequency set of energies, the rest of who you are, that it doesn't even reside inside the realm of the physicality, the physical form. It's about a chakra that is not at the root and at the belly and just below the ribs and in the heart and in the throat and in the center of the brain and the top of the crown. It's above the crown and it's above that. And it's below you, below the whole physical body. And it's throughout the whole system. And it's this amazing chakra 12 that is literally the ascension body. So we're going into some amazing, far-reaching concepts that have been being taught for thousands of years underneath the radar, way back in the invisible realms, where people have to learn to tap into a subtle, subtle frequency to even be available to perceiving what the teachings are about. What I know about humanity and the time that we are alive in right now is that we are ready to bring that forward and bring it into the physical domain a little more tangibly than ever before. We're able to perceive it. We're able to tap into it, utilize it, breathe with it, awaken as it. That's the key. That I'm not going to be teaching you how to deal with ascension energies. I'm going to be teaching you that you are made of ascension energies. I'm not here to teach you that your spirit goes on in greater detail further than you've ever recognized before, and your mind can learn about it only. Yes, that first, but then ultimately for you to create this quantum flip in your own life existence, in your own experience of life on earth, that you flip into being that energy, being this cosmic stream of energies that are coming into this dimension for a reason, that you are coming here for a purpose, and you're going to feel it and you're going to know it. And you're not going to name it. You're going to ride it. You're going to be it.
Tone, please.
In a different fashion every moment. You're going to be available. You're going to be in it with your full conscious presence. And it's going to be in the nature of love, or it won't work. You can't get there without love. So if your mind just got afraid, well, I don't know if I have enough love to get there. I don't know if enough people love me. I don't know if there's enough love going on in my life. I'm not feeling the love right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to what she's talking about. Trust me, you're made of the love I'm talking about. You're made of it. And so this mind that operates like that ceiling fan that's just spinning too fast, that you can never get through it because it's just too intense, where you slow it down till it gets in tandem so that we can get through that and experience ourselves in this amazing realm, in an entirely different world, a different version of reality is headed your way. But, you know, of course, first things first. So we have the level 1, you know, the introductory coursework behind us. We are sitting on it. Some of us are coming into this program simultaneously, have been rapid fire trying to crash course, learn some things to get up to speed. And trust me, as you go through all those modules and are going through these modules together, it's going to land. It's going to land. The hardest part is just getting the mind to recognize that this isn't hard. That's the hardest part. It's getting the mind to recognize that this isn't hard. This doesn't have to be hard. It's not as complex as the mind would make it out to be. But the brilliant mind likes complexity. It loves to get in there and dissect these tiny little details. So, of course, we're going to feed that. We're going to tap it, meet it, and then we're going to drop it right in to the truth of itself, where it doesn't have to work so hard to have a sense of self happening. It doesn't have to be complicated. And that is so, so, so important. So I want to just, actually I was going to remind you of the anchor points, but first I want to just bring this into the mix, because this image is, you know me, I'm always grabbing a poster here so I can talk to you. So this image is something that is, it's headed our way in large form. This is the presence of the soulful self. And here's what I want you to get. This is who you are. It is not this. We've been living here trying to find that, and it's hard to do. It's hard to still all the faculties enough and arrange everything in such a fashion that the consciousness can shoot up here and actually experience this. We can learn about it. We can know about it. But I want to get the preposition out of this. I want you to become it, to be it, to just exist as this. And that's where we're headed in the course of this course. So I just want to infuse this. I want you to infuse this image into your consciousness every day throughout the coursework that we're working with. Every day I want you to look at this. So I want you to put the image someplace where you look at it and you relate to it, that you see yourself here, and that you understand that we've been speaking about all this, the toric field flow, which I'm going to remind you, briefly, I'm just going to wrap all these things together in just a few moments. But all of this energy is happening, hitting the earth, rising back up, coming around and cycling around and around. We utilize some of that energy, and and the rest of it is just sustaining the body. And it's constantly being replenished by new energy coming in. It's constantly hitting the earth and being stepped down for human consumption. It's rising up through your system, and it's either rising gracefully or it's rising up and having to avoid all the interferences that are on the line between you knowing your wisdom and you knowing that this is your gig, you knowing your wisdom, you knowing your personal power, you knowing that you are made of love and that you don't have to get love in order to have love, you knowing that you're here to manifest yourself as love here, you knowing that you are a cosmic being, a multi-dimensional being that has the capacity to tap any dimension that you are made of. We're going to learn about that. And you knowing that you are ultimately this. So if that is not a known, experienced version of you, then what happens is there are a lack of circuits in this system that creates a wobble in the upward flow of this energy. And that wobble creates a distortion in this energy field. And so if you're standing in here looking out into the world through a distorted field, you see a world that doesn't care. You see a world that's falling apart. You see that we're in terrible times and something has to happen. If you are looking from this perspective, you see what's going on in this world from the bird's eye view. And you see that the stir that is happening right now in that same moment is a stir that is divinely guided. There is great, great awakening potential in every tumultuous time. That's how it happens. That stir occurs and we awaken because of it. We come to know who we are as the point of relativity here in this dimension of duality. Okay, so I'm just barreling in here, but we're going to come back and drop in and make sure everybody's tracking with this. But I just want to drop this in because it's a transmission that is serving you to set the context for what the next 6 months of your life are going to be like, because we have quite a ride ahead of us, and it is a transformational ride, I assure you. Okay, so here's the deal. This is who you are. And this is a vehicle that you have created in order to operate here in the physical dimension. This is it. This is the truth of who you are. And this is you dropping into the third dimension and creating a bandwidth of energy that folds over on itself enough that it gives you a place to have your presence be known by you. Your presence is known by you sending energy. You have sent your energy into the third dimension, and you have it hits the earth and rises up. You hit the earth and rise up. Then you rise up, and you are what is circling around and circling around and circling around, creating a physical body by the density that gets generated by the reverberation of that energy over and over and over. So that creates, it compresses itself, compacts itself into a physical body. And if this circuitry is in place in that physical body, for everything that I'm saying to be known by you, then you rise right up through it, and you'll actually keep rising up to here, or you'll rise up to here. And the toric field flow will get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point that you are walking around on the surface of the planet in full awareness that this is who you are. Okay? So at first, we drop down and we just think this is who we are. But this toric field energy flow is happening all the while. And the more we wake up, the more this energy can hit the earth and rise back up without losing momentum because of the wobble that we've been speaking about. It doesn't lose its momentum, so it shoots up to here before it falls back around. So now the toric field flow is getting bigger. And if I build even more circuits in place that there's no impedance, I shoot down here, I bounce back up, and I can know myself all the way up to here before it falls around and flows around and creates a larger toric field flow to the point that it begins to encompass everything in its own divinity. Now, this is what the Christed being, this is what the Buddhic being were able to do. This is what they were doing. They were walking around as a giant toric field flow, such that this impact was this big. 30 miles away, villagers would heal because of the embodiment of the divinity that is the truth of who we are. Now, I'm just blowing your mind maybe in the first few moments just to get a perspective on where you're headed in these next modules, in these mini modules that are on their way. Okay, so as we can get this in mind every day, life here is going to change. When you know that this is who you are, what happens here at work is kind of small. What happens here at the dinner table, or the fact that someone forgot your birthday or your anniversary didn't really get to go the way you had imagining it, all of that begins to change because you're bringing a higher, more comprehensive energy into the mix. So you're not as affected by your conditions because you're living at something, at a level that transcends those conditions, okay? All right, so your invitation is this, grab that image and look at it every day. Print it down, put it in a couple of different places, in your house, in your car, whatever it takes for you to have access to this. So it is something familiar to the eye, similar to the I am presence, but it has the toric field flow and the machinery that you are. You're a transmuting machine. Can you see here that if I'm fueled by this, that whatever I walk around as on this horizontal plane, if I know that this is what's driving this whole thing, I'm just churning energy. You say something and I'm like, Got it. Okay, I know how to do that. I'm going to work with that. Instead of getting upset and getting reactive, I'm going to take it to the body. I'm going to build some circuits. And if I've been doing that long enough, what begins to happen is my toric field flow becomes so robust that it transmutes what you're saying or what's happening into something that's usable, that's doable, that's manageable, rather than something that's overwhelming or splatting or dispersing to my consciousness and getting stuck in my subconscious memory and, you know, controlling my life autonomically, automatically, subconsciously. You know, that the beauty of that system, the subconscious system, is that it will continue to keep you operating as a limited being so that you can continue to attract circumstances into your life that you will bump up against, so that you will continue to learn to take it to the body, so that you will continue to build more circuits, so that your new circuits allow you to operate in such a robust fashion that it begins to make this trap door, remember the trap door? Okay, that it begins to take that trap door that slammed shut because we were too overwhelmed by too many bears at once, throwing us into emergency mode that had a short-circuiting effect on the computer. What happens is we build enough of that circuitry in the core of the body that it shoots up this gut level wisdom that is the core, true, soulful self. It creates enough power that it can blow that door open again, and suddenly your consciousness and your subconsciousness are uniting. And when they get together, it's a whole new world. Because up until that moment, your subconscious is continuing to drive you into circumstances that upset you, continuing to drive you into circumstances that disappoint you, that disillusion you, that cause you to recognize, wow, I'm not free. That's really what it's doing. It's trying to show you, see one more way you're not free. Here's another situation you're not free in. Yeah, you're in all your spirituality and it's looking good. But if you go home for Thanksgiving and it doesn't go so well, then you're not as free as you thought you were. Okay? You got it? So it's, you know, this is how we want to start to work with this, so that we actually get to be as free in all situations as we can now start to feel like we are in some situations. Ultimately, life is here in our favor. And if we can start to build enough circuitry inside of our own system, then it actually gets perceived as such, and we live as a creator instead of a survivor. We live enhancing our life and everyone's life rather than just trying to get by, just trying to do what I have to do, just nose to the grindstone, just trying to make it work, trying to make ends meet. Life is supposed to be more than that. You know that, right? We've certainly been talking about that for quite some time now. So as we dive into this course, I just want you to remember that the truth of me is the one at the top of that page. That's who I am. And I want you to look at the top of that page and imagine it, but then I want you to be at the top of that page and see yourself focusing down through your channel, down to the earth, down into that body, and making that body support you better, making the body align in such a way that you can come down here into this world and have the life that you know is your destiny, and it's your purpose, and it's your plan. It's your soul plan and your soul purpose to come, you as this, to come down into this life and have it, have the life that the soul chose to have. So far, we've been having the life that the personality would allow us to have. And it's not okay. It's way too limited, because the personality is based in fear. The personality is based in survivorship, getting alongness that is based in lack. So I'm going to do this because if I do this, then you'll do that, and then I'll be safe. Even the empath does things to make sure that others feel okay, because we can feel how they feel. And if they don't feel okay, we don't feel okay. And it's really a challenge. I'm going to have a whole conversation about this for the people who are super sensory, because we're supposed to be super sensory, and it's supposed to be in our favor that we are. But if we're not grounding ourselves, the body can't do its job to help our consciousness. And our consciousness is too high to be here if it's not in the body, being grounded and filtered and integrated and infused into such a frequency that the brain can handle it and we can interpret our full consciousness and our awareness of our multidimensionality in such a fashion that we can make sentences that make sense when we're engaging in the outer world, instead of just having to say, Om, because we can't make any other words happen. Om. And before we make Om out of it, we're just in the, oh no. We're in some kind of wobbly version of that. So what we have to do is get into the body with this vastness and slide down in here and ground and anchor. Because when we do, we have access to all of this. We have access to all of who we are. Prior to that, we're just, we're just getting by. We're just doing the best we can. Oh my God. And hallelujah that it created enough pain that we started searching, right? Because that's how we landed here. Hallelujah that it created so much wobble and so much distortion and so much freak out that we started asking around. And we found ourselves involved in the shift network. And then somehow, things aligned in such a way that, boom, you not only manifested a conversation about how to change seats and sit down in the correct seat, change seats from sitting in the mind to sitting as the soul that has a mind and has a body and learning how to use those faculties together to serve me. You not only manifested that for yourself, but you manifested a deeper course, a deeper conversation, and 12 more modules. I think it's 12 modules we have that we're going into it even deeper for the first time ever, that we're going to bring this out. So this is what I'm saying, that we're ready to bring it out, and this information to not only be possible in an ashram type of setting, in an intimate setting with a lifetime commitment to its revelation, because we are maturing to the degree that we can handle it. And the sooner we get in our bodies, the sooner we can handle it. We used to need the body of the ashram to handle it. We used to need the body of all of our guru bhai, all of the chelas, all of the students being in the room together to hone that energy into this place of certainty, of unwavering presence. But because this is coming through in consciousness, and we've developed the technology through the energy codes of embodiment, we can go there sooner and have it land and have it stick, because we're using the body the way that it was meant to be used, and we're learning to use the mind the way that it was meant to be used. It's not designed to be driving the bus. It can't. It freaks out. The mind can't do it. It gets overwhelmed. When the mind comes into the body, suddenly the mind doesn't feel alone, because it's being infused with the soul. What's coming right in is filling in the gaps, and the wholeness of you is coming forward. Whereas previously, it was just these circuits that you had in place as the personality. But what we're doing is saying, you know what, there's more to me. This wholeness is coming forward out into the world. So the mind doesn't feel alone, and it stops acting in such a freak out fashion. It stops prematurely drawing conclusions. It stops projecting onto other people. It stops having to write stories in order to feel safe, to anchor itself to something. It's been anchoring itself to something, the something that it has been anchoring itself to. Just a second, I'm sure I have a poster for this. The thing it's been anchoring itself to is the mental body here. The gunk that we would draw here, the gunk on this image, the gunk, the premature conclusions that we draw here, they never should have left me, they never should have divorced me, they never should have fired me. All of this stuff comes into the mix in the form of the gunk. Remember the gunk? Okay? We hold on to that gunk. I want you to think of it this way. We hold on to it like that. We're in here hanging on to that gunk in the mental body field. And so if we're hanging on there, we can't let go and drop in to the body. We're just hanging out there. And it feels like we're just, don't leave me hanging, is the general sensation that we live with all the time. We're here to drop that. Coming into the body. Coming into the body with the 4 anchor points. I believe you have an image that we created for you right after the first time that we decided we were going to do the advanced course. I said, okay, Monica, we're going to need some images to wrap this stuff together for people. So we have these 4 anchor points. Mula Bandha, squeezing the heart, constricting the throat, that you can hear your breath in here, and roll the eyes. Because when we roll the eyes and we feel the tension behind the eyes, we're anchoring here. Now, from the front view, we see this creates this alignment that is the central channel. And that central channel is what we are working through, right down through here, creating a stabilized toric field flow that is not in the wobble and not distorted, so that we can start to see a reality that's working in our favor, okay? These 4 anchor points are an essential ingredient in the course. You have to be doing this all the time. You squeeze them with everything you've got, and then you relax it by 1/2, and then you relax that by 1/2. As we progress through this coursework, I want you walking around every day with that consciousness in these places all the time. Because when you do, there's an automatic, remember this, come on to subject, instead of being dispersed on object and in the splat, come on to subject, come on to subject, come home, land here in the core, breathe up and down the central channel so that you can feel what you are destined to be feeling, what you are able to perceive as your own multidimensionality. I have so many posters around me, they're falling left and right. I'm in poster haven right now. If you could only see what I have spread out around me, just in case we need it, because I never know where we're gonna need to go in our conversation, all right? So let's just get this super clear. You are here as a cosmic being. And your job is to act like a cosmic being, but be in an acceptable, relevant, normal kind of engaging way while you're here on the surface of the planet. And the only way that that can happen is you have to get in your body. Because if we're not in our body, we're tethered to the mind. We're tethered to the mind instead of awake as the soul. And we have to use the mind. We have to let go of our need to predict, our need to conclude, our need to have grudges, because grudges and attitudes and an ability to diagnose and a tendency to diagnose, oh, I know who that is, I know what kind of person that is, I know what they're about. All of that is your mind field's attempt to keep you here kind of. But it's not the clear way to keep you here. So we have to anchor Mula Bandha, squeeze the heart, constrict the throat, roll the eyes, come home onto subject and breathe. And we start to build new circuits. For as we are managing the electromagnetic energy being, which is what you are, your mind is electric, your body is magnetic. You are an electromagnetic being. Your being here is you just churning energy, moving energy in this toric field flow, perfecting that energy in the toric field flow so that you can look around and see what's perfect. You can see the perfected version of reality. That's the key. That's what we have to do if we're ever going to have access to these layers of who we are. These layers of who we are is what this course is about. These layers, the karmic causal, the body, the ascension, descension, the Christ Buddha body, the electric body, the God body. These are bodies of energy. They are levels of energy in the big bandwidth. So let me just give it to you this way, that it's here, and then 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 it's here. That's what we're working with. We're waking up this way toward this. Okay, so chakra 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 vibrationally are closer and closer to the Godhead, which is the Atman, the version of you that is the spirit being, the single point of consciousness that you actually are. Don't worry, I'm going to drop in and explain all those things and give you a deep understanding of it. I just really want you to grab the big picture of what these weeks are going to be for you. because in that time frame, it is possible for you to have a complete transformation of your perspective of who and what you are and what you're doing here, and your ability to be able to be that without hesitation. That's what we're trying to work through. So we have 2 courses a month. I guess it's not 6 months. It's a 3-month period or so. I don't know. We're going for 12 modules over, and 2 of them a month. So we can do the math. Okay. So let's take a look right here and see some larger picture anatomy as well. You know, what we're looking at here, and I believe you have an image that's going to be covering these things for you. Chakra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then chakra 8 and chakra 9 and chakra 10 and chakra 11 is the electric body that gets polarized inside of all of this. And chakra 12 is this big sphere of engagement that you actually are. By the time one is truly awakening here, this individual can, they can astral project themselves into multidimensionality. They can have knowledge of who they are in other worlds. They have easy memory of past life experiences. They have an understanding of life that it is a true blessing and nothing but that. And they're able to engage joyfully in a fun and playful kind of way on very serious matters, because they know this is going to work. This all works out. It's not hard. It's only made hard by the mind, and the mind only makes it hard when it doesn't feel safe. And it only doesn't feel safe when it isn't anchored to the body, because when it's anchored to the body, it can perceive the language of the soul that is trying to come out here. It's just that we landed and we splatted and our faculties are out here and we're identified as one of them. So we're way out here in left field trying to figure out how to make life work. And I'm saying you can get really good about strategizing there. Just don't. Just pull it back here and let that mind be used for something differently than it's been being used for. And it's going to serve you and your life experience as a soul in the way that it was originally intended to do. So hopefully this is giving you some context. Here, take a drink. You know, we have to drink. Let's have a drink together, okay? We have to do this. We have to hydrate, because this is very high frequency energy, okay? And sometimes when I'm teaching the course, I'll stand in the front of the room and I'll drink like 3 bottles of water, one after, and just chug them down. And then because what's happening is the electricity that's coming in, the electrical energy that's coming in through the form of what we would just reference as consciousness, it begins to become soothed, and then it can be translated. The water of the 2nd chakra is an essential ingredient. You know, so we'll talk about the elements and those kinds of things as we dig in. But let me just brief over it, because I think if we brief over things multiple times over the course of the course, it's all going to start to make sense for you. Okay, so your root chakra is like the earth, and your 2nd chakra is like water. And your 3rd chakra is the fire of your mental body, the fire of your consciousness. And your 4th chakra is the misty, ethereal self that is made possible when you have a physical vessel and you pour water in it, okay? And then you bring fire into that, okay? What's going to happen is steam is going to rise. That steam is the misty white substance of spirit being here in the physical dimension. When the Holy Ghost is referenced, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about you can awaken to the level, the vibrational frequency level, to be able to perceive a misty white substance in the inner realm of your own physical being, your own physical body. You will perceive yourself as that at some point in your own evolution. It's my job to set you up for that to happen as easily and gracefully as possible. That's what I've self-appointed my role on the planet to be, simply because it has happened for me. And I know that the greatest contribution that I can make to the planet is to help people find the way to orient and to anchor and to synchronize these elements and to stabilize it in such a fashion that we can start to recognize the truth. Okay, so in that, we are here working with those elements. And as we do, we're going to be speaking about an even higher, then what happens above that is it's all the actioning stuff. This is who you are, and this is how you get here. This is who you are, and this is how you get here. The problem is you've been perceiving that this is who you are, and this is where you're headed. We think that this is who we are, and this is where we're headed. We think that this is who we are, that we are physical beings, and we're all caught up in our emotions, and we're stuck in our heads. We're living there. But the truth is, this is who you are, and these are faculties that you have. This is who you are, and your ultimate destiny is to come here. So we've been looking at it backwards. That's why we have a hard time getting to the goal, because we're trying to drive down the road with the car in reverse, looking through the rear view mirror. It's really complicated, and it doesn't have to be. So we're going to turn things around and start to face forward here from the right seat in the house, okay? So as we do so, we're going to speak about your life purpose. Your life purpose is to awaken first and foremost to the truth of who you are. The sole purpose is to bring consciousness to the third dimension. You could be doing anything right now, but you came with your conscious concentration to the third dimension as consciousness. You came here. You could have gone anywhere, but here you are, all right? And it's too late. Now you have to fulfill what the plan was all about while you're here, okay? So I'm joking that it's too late. We're here by choice, okay? So your purpose was to be an active force of the continuation of consciousness, to evolve, contributing to the evolution of consciousness. And so it's destined to happen. The next higher frequency from here, ironically, is this, and it's in the earth. And that's kind of interesting to think of in terms of that there's a higher frequency version of me in the earth than there is all up in here, where we always think about high frequency. But I want you to understand that the earth is also made of light. It's just compact. And so when we access this one, things are going to change rapidly for you. But I have to do some things in the meantime to get you ready to be able to begin to live from here. This is the Christ Buddha, consciousness. We see this is the legacy consciousness. When we embody, Christ and Buddha embodied all the way to here consciously. And that's what changed the bandwidth of human consciousness forever. The pathway has been carved, if you will. And so each of them said, and they were not the only ones, but each of them said, anyone could be Buddha. And Christ, is speaking into the idea that you can do all this and more. And I believe that. I'm willing to accept that as an invitation. And I know that you are too, or you wouldn't be sitting here. And so we're going to step into that, but we have to step into that with great reverie and great, not just devotion and discipline, but stability. We have to enter into those realms with energetic stability. So we have to create stability in our system to be able to do so. And that's exactly what this course is about. It's about creating vibrational stability so that you can stack up the column in your own being, that you stack up the column here, that it's stable enough to be able to handle more of this dropping in. We have to take the wobble out of this, or this can never drop all the way in. It's just not possible, right? So I want to make sure that we're touching base on some of the things that we have been through. You have a chart of the chakras 1 through 7 that I want to encourage you to read through that, just to be up to speed on what's happening there. You're not going to have to memorize any of that or know that in any detail, but if you'll just infuse it into your consciousness, that's kind of going to help us in a review of what we're all about and what we're headed into, okay? Because it helps to stabilize it. It's like, oh yes, all these components of my physical being are being masterfully guided by a non-physical compartment or component of me that is the chakra system. And that chakra system is right where the non-physical and the physical worlds meet. That's why it's been such a helpful topic for humanity. Because at the chakra system level, and keep in mind that the chakra system level happens at the purple, right here, this first line, the purple line, that's where the chakras exist. So the purple goes all the way through here, and the chakras are hung on that. And the blue underneath that goes all the way under. And the red is underneath that. And what's underneath all of it is all this green. So the whole of creation is the green, and then these other energies are just hung on top of them, creating more and more density compressing and compressing and compressing and compressing and creating this physical world. So your 7 chakra system is a gateway between the non-physical you that's completely here, but so subtle we call it energy instead of physical. But it's all energy. Physical energy, non-physical energy, it's all energy. So we really have to land that idea, okay? So in the midst of that, the chakra system is where the non-physical energy begins to become physical. And I'm going to remind you about epigenetics. Just trying to pull all the big concepts that we utilized in level 1, pull them together in such a fashion that you are getting all the elements in the neighborhood so we can start to work in a new way, okay? So in that, the chakra, through epigenetics, the chakra is a crossroads where the non-physical and the physical meet, okay? They come together and it creates something new. On the surface of every cell, this is according to epigenetics, which is, of course, you know, a newer science that is teaching us that our genetic inheritance is, you know, not what determines our outcome. If we're willing to be conscious and intentional and have free will ignited. Now, I have clients and patients that have been raised in complete surrender to never make a choice, to always be at God's will, to allow all of it to happen. And I want to say that we struggle with their physical health because free will has to play an active role in your life, but it has to be in a collaborative kind of role with a divine will. And we're going to definitely delve into how to master that collaboration so that health and vitality and strength exist in these tissues. And at the same time, you're never once taking your eye off the fact that this is who I am, and I'm coming down into this body. I am the cosmic being. I am the spirit. I am the soul. I am all of that. I am spirit coming in, and I am rising as the soul. And my job is to let the soul have a completely spiritual, meaning refined experience, not altered by the personality, not suppressed by the personality. I'm going to say that again because it's really important, and I can see some of you feverishly writing some notes, and I want to make sure that you catch this, okay? So you are pure spirit. I have a poster for this, okay? I've been showing it to you, okay? You are spirit, okay? You are spirit coming in from the unified field. That's what this is depicting. You're drawing together all the faculties that you need to, as pure spirit, come down here, hit the earth, and start to rise. And as you rise, you're rising with your ability to be pure spirit here in this dense third dimension. That's what the name of the game is. The name of the game is, can I rise as the pure spirit being that I am while I'm here in the density of the third dimension? Okay? As I'm rising and figuring out how to do that, I am presenting as the soul, because the soul is here to be restored to pure spirit And it's utilizing the third dimension to get the job done. It's utilizing the obstacles that you come up against that are going to help you refine your ability to stay the course, to stay quickened at the core, aligned, no wobble, and present as pure possibility, pure yes, pure divine love, pure empowered, illuminated presence. Not lesser than because you had a tough childhood, not lesser than because you just can't seem to find your voice. All of those things are going to step into their proper role when we recognize that they're all happening in support of me awakening to pure spirit as the soul that I am presenting as. So when I rise up through this and I hit areas, if I hit an area here that is that has a wobble because I don't have the circuits in place, then I present in a compromised way. But if I know, and I do because I'm taking the energy codes, I know I'm supposed to take my mind to the body and see where am I supposed to build those circuits right now, instead of getting distracted into thinking that what's happening is wrong and that it shouldn't be happening and that you're wrong for doing it and that you're killing me here and I'm going to have to get away from you. I'm going to have to quit the job or leave the relationship or do whatever. See, that's total misinterpretation. Total misinterpretation of why the things are happening in our lives that are happening in our lives. If we get the correct perspective, we take them and we use them to our advantage instead of get bowled over and splatted by them. Okay? So we're here to rise and we're here to build the circuits in these areas here. And see, I'm using the light that's coming in through the window to shed some light on the parts of you that are supposed to become illuminated. See, it all shows up right on time for us, okay? So this illumination gets you operating as a being of light. There we go. A being of light right here in the physical dimension. You follow what I'm saying? So all of that is happening in your favor. It's all happening in your favor if we learn, as we learn, how to utilize it to our advantage. And then we're operating as a soul that is refining itself to pure spirit right here on earth. And our experience internally then is heaven, earth, heaven, earth, heaven, earth. So prior to that, you know, we're living in a totally different reality that's a lot more painful. Oh my gosh, it's amazing we even survive it. So through epigenetics and this etheric body where the chakra system resides inside of you, an energy wave hits the surface of the cell and the little antenna that's on the surface of the cell, and it tells that antenna about the environment, and that antenna then relays that information inside the cell, and then inside the cell it starts producing chemicals that are responsive to that message that's coming from the environment. And what I want you to know is that you create the environment. You do. You create the environment. Bring your mind onto your body so that your mind doesn't create so much rattle in your world that it crashes your column and you never have the opportunity to stack up this column enough to support this third eye that's trying to perceive your divinity and relate it into this dimension, but it can't get the job done when there's a circus going on in the room. It's just too much. So we have to learn to stabilize the mind. Bring the mind onto the body. Don't write stories. Just don't let yourself do it anymore. Just give your mind something more productive to do. In that moment, take it to the body. See where I need to build some circuits so that I can stabilize this system. Because I got big work ahead of me. And I can't get that job done if I'm in a wacky environment. So I have to stabilize my environment and I'm in charge of it. But we are operating in such a disempowered way. We think that our relationships and our boss and our spouse and our kids and our parents have complete domain over our experience. And you know, we're darn good people just to make the best out of these horrible circumstances that we're having to survive. And, you know, yay. That's better than thinking you're just worthless and that you're never going to be able to even get a handle on it. But it has nothing to do with the wholeness of who you are. It just won't, it just can't get you there. Just can't do the trick. Just can't. So I'm wanting to remind you today that at that etheric body level, that message comes in the chemistries that are getting generated in your system. They are a byproduct of what you're allowing to have happen in your world. Okay? So let's go back to the gunk. We taught you best release in the introductory course to help you get chunking away at the gunk. We got to chunk away at the gunk, because that gunk keeps us in a rattle even when a situation isn't happening in this moment that is an obvious rattler, okay? Even when there's nothing going on in your day that's particularly challenging, I want you to notice, is there tension in my body? So I'm riding on airplanes all the time. Like you have no idea how much motion is in my life. And so I have to create the stability without the world creating it for me, right? So the more crazy my life gets, as far as being in motion and speaking at this conference and coming over here and having this interview and getting tapped in for this online thing and this, that, the other, all the time, multiple ones in action. Right now, they're preparing to have me be doing something as soon as this is done, kind of thing. And the only way that that could possibly happen is if I am tethered and insisting that my environment be stable. Now, my environment isn't stable, but my environment is stable, okay? We can all do this. We have to do this. This is what we came here to do. It's a prerequisite to you ever even landing here fully. For you to ever even be here with the wholeness of yourself, that stability has to become your personality's priority. Your personality has to get on board. So it becomes this devoted personality, this engaging personality, this loving personality, so that the outer layer of you is generating transmutation all the time. Transmutation. We're constantly dropping into the body and letting the body and the toric field washing machine, that's what it is. It's a giant washing machine that transmutes everything in your path. Okay? Let's take a look at it. That toric field is a giant washing machine, and it can't do its job as long as all these circuits are missing. So every time, you know, if this was here, this field would have a distortion in it. I don't have a copy of that in front of me, I don't think, that has a copy of the distorted field. But the distorted field is a byproduct of the gaps and the gunk that is here. You get that from the introductory course. I'm just reviewing here. But what we want to do is get rid of this by closing it in, closing the gaps, living into it, moving into it. And how to know where those are, the body's going to tell the mind. Every time you're in a situation that's upsetting to you, that's stressful, that's potentially intimidating, you take your attention to the body and you squeeze it and you get in your 4 anchor points and you start breathing up and down the central channel and you stay and you stabilize and you keep breathing loving presence until there's nothing but love flowing through the center of you. Does it mean that you can't be strong and assertive and clear? Absolutely not. I'm very that. And at the same time, I'm loving and compassionate and open and interested and curious and capable of holding the space for whatever somebody needs to talk about or whatever we need to do next, or available for ingenious ideas about how to express or how to share or how to make a difference in the world. Our availability happens when our stability happens, okay? Ironically, stability comes with vulnerability. You know, you have to be vulnerable and willing to not be right, because this gunk is determined by a personality that thinks it's right, right? I had to draw a conclusion. They should have never done that. That should not have happened. That was wrong. That's how I get the gunk in the first place. So I have to become vulnerable enough to let that be rewritten. If it's going to be erased, it has to be rewritten. Apparently, they should have done it. How do I know? Because they did it. All right? So if they did it and it did happen, my job is to embrace it and to come present with it and to metabolize it, not to get rid of it, but to utilize it to my advantage, to awaken through it. So how I do that is I take my attention to the body. I squeeze wherever it is charged. If I'm not yet feeling a charge in the body because I've been living in my head so much that I can't even feel in there yet, my mind is going to go to where I need to be doing this work anyway. My mind is going to show me. So that's what I do. I take my attention to the body and it takes me here, or it takes me to the gut, or it takes me, down in the low pelvic bowl. I squeeze it. Even though I didn't feel anything, I'm going to squeeze it. I'm going to squeeze it, and I'm going to start breathing up from the earth all the way to my heart. And then I'm going to exhale right up through the top of the body. And then I'm going to inhale all the way here into the heart. And I'm going to exhale right down through that area, squeezing my 4 anchor points all the while. And then I'm going to exhale right down into chakra 10 beneath where I sit. Because inside that system, as you're going to learn in this course, are the exact vibrational frequencies that start to be set free as we start working with them. And as we start working with them and they are enlivened, they start making a contribution to our every breath that we take. And when your own legacy consciousness is making a contribution to the decisions that you make today, because you inherently know what your destiny is, you can feel it and sense it. Maybe you don't name it. I hope you don't, because you would limit it with what you would name it, but you feel it and you breathe it up and through your body, and it starts to have a vibrational impact on the thoughts that you think. It starts to have a vibrational impact on the ideas that you come up with. It starts to have a vibrational influence on how you respond and engage, and how you sleep and how you rest, and what foods you're attracted to and what you're going to do next. All of it starts to fall in place. When you're drawing from the very energies of your own North Star and your own soul purpose, and you're influenced by the very electrical source of consciousness itself, and you can sense it and feel it and know it, everything starts to change. So I'm reviewing here today in a very big way and bringing some new ideas into the mix at the same time, so that we can start to masterfully engage in this course and cover some amazing territory together. Because where we're headed is to where you come from. We're headed back to where you come from. And we're going to wake up there and bring you all the way here without you forgetting who you are, so that you can live here in this third dimension as the awakened cosmic energy being that you are. I do have one more request for you. As often as you can, every night, if you can, I'd like for you to start to develop a better relationship with the sky, with the stars, okay? I want you to go outside at night, any night that there is not so much cloud coverage that you can actually see and engage. I want you to look deeply into the stars and receive something. And know that everything that I'm speaking about, if I could have a gamillion stars imprinted on the background of this, in fact, there are some there constantly, back even behind and under the earth, all of it is embedded upon a great cosmos, a great source of the manifest world. And you are not only as big as that, you're even bigger than the manifest world. So that's big. But we can start to build a true appreciation and a relationship with the greatness of our being if we allow ourselves to spend time in nature, to feel the babbling brook, to sense the mountain, don't just look at it, to go and be in the trees and be in the woods and feel them. Yes, it expands us out of our own limited version of humanity, but I also want you to look at this every day. And then I also want to invite you into building a relationship with the night sky, because I'm going to get into some topics that are so important, and they come from the night sky. You come from the night sky. You are an eternal being. You are a multidimensionality being, meaning there are aspects of your own DNA that come from civilizations beyond planet Earth. And I'm not going to get really crazy woo-woo with you, but I am going to ask you to accept the things that science has already proven. And I am going to invite you to have a relationship with things that science is yet to prove. And I will make those distinctions for you, because I don't ever want you to accept something that I say just because I say it. But I do want to invite you into embracing the truth of your being. and embracing it by not limiting who you think you are and what you think you're capable of. Because you are capable of something far beyond miracles. You are capable of creation itself. And we're here to, in a very sophisticated, organized, structured fashion, begin to sit ourselves down in the greatest machinery ever imagined. It's a multi-dimensionality, a multi-civilizations project that has come together, and you are sitting as a prime example of it. And I want you to know that, not intellectually, but experientially by the time we're finished with this course. Right? So the invitation is for you to have a working relationship, a loving relationship. Some kind of bonded thing is going to happen between you and the night sky in these weeks together, if you will just start to allow that to happen. And all you have to do is just look out the window or step outside. Ideally, if you're in a warm enough environment where you can do this, or bundle up, lay on your back on the earth and look up. Maybe you'll even make a plan at some point to go away from the cities and away from the light pollution during the course of this course, maybe a weekend trip or something where you can get out and experience this. I've had the great opportunity of being in the Atacama Desert in northern Chile and be exposed to so very many stars through the aid of telescopes, but also just opening up and being present with. Here in the physical body, I'll tell you, it's as close to the experience that it is to soar among them, which I also do. I do that through my own astral travel. I soar between galaxies and between planets all the time. And I can say that to you because this is an advanced course, okay? And so when we have the ability to just carry our physical bodies and into a dark space and look up at the night sky, there is a very close relationship that will connect you closer to some of the energies that I would love for you to become masterful at knowing and working with as we proceed through this course together. So just, maybe mark that on your calendar as a possibility in the next several weeks to perhaps take a trip and make that possible for yourselves. Maybe it's your own backyard. I'm here in Santa Fe. I drove in from Albuquerque. I flew here from Phoenix and last night and one after the other, but I'm looking out the window as we're driving down the road in between cities. It's super dark and it was mighty fine. So I want to invite you to tap into some of those frequencies because of where we're headed in our coursework. So I wanted to remind you of life in layers, the protective personality, the splat, coming home to yourself from object onto subject, recognizing that I have to come home and stabilize, taking it to the body all the time, constantly, the 4 anchor points, the central channel flow, the toric field, and now the I am presence, this presence of the soulful self, the truth of who you are as a cosmic being. You are made of the unmanifest. You are made of the unmanifest, and you are manifesting yourself here into the manifest world. You're piercing yourself right in here for a purpose. And in the course of this course, you're going to have an understanding of what that purpose is because you're going to feel it. Not because you're going to name it, but because you're going to feel it. So you're going to know how to bring it into every situation that you come into. We've also spoken about the trap door, and so I'd love for you to review that. Just read through it, your notes again, and recognize that overwhelm has created a slamming shut of the trap door. And remember that circuits are the reason for overwhelm. Not enough circuits equals overwhelm. If you feel overwhelmed, build more circuitry. Take it to the body. Come home to yourself. The breath of loving presence. Direct your laser-like focused mind into the place of the body that the body is telling the mind needs attention so that we can build the circuitry to rise as the true spirit being that we are, rather than the soul that's being held hostage by a personality that's freaked out. We are no longer going to live life that way. The personality has to surrender, drop itself back into the body so that it gets the help that it's been seeking, and the mind from the personality level will begin to become infused with the soul, and then we can rise in a robust fashion and get on with why we came here. We came here to infuse the rest, the wholeness of ourselves all the way here and come out into the physical dimension as exactly that. Cosmic being, the one who brings the light, the one who brings the answers, not the one who is just desperately seeking to feel whole again. But we certainly have that as a starting point, don't we? That's why we're here. So don't think for a moment that if you're in pain, that you have suffering happening in your relationships or in your physical body, or things just don't seem to be coming together for you. Don't think for a minute that we're going to lift off and leave you behind, because the purpose of this project, of this advanced course, is to gather all of it up, to gather every single one of us up, to get this so that we can rise together. Because when we come together in a global community like this, we have an impact on the world. And that's why we're here. We're here to bring the light into humanity, right? Together, we're going to do exactly that. So I'm honored and thrilled to be here. I know that we're supposed to open up for some Q&A, and I think that it's time to do that. Lauren, can you guide me?
Absolutely. So great, just a couple things I want to address. All of the handouts have been posted to your course homepage, and they're located under Module 1, Session 1. And so if you go to your course homepage now and click that golden open button, it will pop down and you will see everything listed there that Dr. Sue will be using for Module 1. If anything else comes along, we will get it posted up. But trying to think the name of it, The Presence of the Soulful Self, that is up there, as well as the other charts that Dr. Sue shared with us today. And what else was I going to mention? I think that was it. Oh, the other thing is, I know many of you were having trouble starting your video today, and I'm not sure what's happening. I checked in on the back end of Zoom, so hopefully by next time we'll have that fixed, but you're still welcome to ask your question live if you would like to do so. So great, we will get started here. This comes in from Deborah, and it says, while Dr. Sue was explaining the presence of the soulful self, while I was doing it, there was an electrical charge through my entire body and in the feelings in my teeth. Is this normal?
It's not only normal, it's fantastic. So what's going to happen many times through this course is that we're going to tap certain frequencies, and I am being that frequency while we're talking about it. There's a transmission and an infusion that is happening in the whole bandwidth. We are not only local, we are one. And as we are bringing our conscious concentration into the oneness, what is happening here is happening for all. And so as we a couple of things that I want to remind you of. It's really valuable if you find a place to be that is quiet, that's uninterrupted, that you can sit and be in the stillness as we proceed. As we get past this kind of review session and we dive in to some of these frequencies, the energies are going to be super subtle. And the more you can provide an environment where you're available to what's happening, the more you will be able to sense things like what you have just experienced. So if everyone provides the environment for themselves to allow for such things, this will be happening on a regular basis for many. And know that it's not a problem, it's a solution. And that electricity is an enlivening that is occurring. Remember this. Two systems run your body. The electromagnetic energy system builds the nervous system in the developing embryo. The electromagnetic energy system, prior to our spiritual awakening, sits as this unknown entity. And we're walking around as this being that's being driven by, we think, a nervous system. All the while, this silent presence has been directing the nervous system to not only build it, but to keep it operating. What keeps us operating and healing and rejuvenating is something much larger than our physical nervous system. It's the electromagnetic energy system. It's spirit. And so as we're enlivening and awakening as spirit, you're going to start to feel sensations in your body, like the hair standing up, or like something like little ants crawling on your head or something when I'm talking for a moment on something, or maybe when you're sitting in meditation afterward, you're going to feel shocking types of, that kind of a sensation as these nadis and meridians are firing up, because we're giving them permission to. They sit and they wait until we reach the vibrational frequency that we can handle additional input. Remember I said in the original course, 11 billion bits of information are bombarding your system every millisecond. That's a lot. And we wall it off because we can't handle it. We only have a few circuits to work on. And so we're building more and more circuits. And as we do, you're going to settle down inside of yourself more and more each time. Each time in one of these courses moving forward, we're going to do some practices while we're together collectively, so that we are enhancing and enhancing and enhancing, enlivening and enlivening these higher frequencies, especially when we get to the chakras study 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. As we do that, you're going to feel more and more of these things. Many people, you're going to feel more and more of these things. So don't be alarmed if you're not feeling it, but don't be alarmed if you are feeling it. Just know that it's all going to ignite in its right time. Much of it will happen for each of you when you're sleeping at night. So you might not be experiencing it, but if you wake up in the night and you feel any of those kinds of sensations, do not be alarmed or concerned or anything. It's not going to get out of control. Everything that I teach you is very grounded. Everything that I bring in is very integrated. So you're never going to have to worry about this setting something, wild in a Kundalini rising kind of way that is uncomfortable or creating any kind of problematic thing. So yay, we're celebrating that for you.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Deborah. Okay, let's go to David. And David, I'm going to give you the mic and go ahead. You've got it.
Hi, Dr. Sue.
Hi, David.
It's sure good to talk to you.
Nice to hear you. I'm going to try to find you. Keep talking. Yeah.
All right. It's been enjoyable going through your previous 7 weeks, in a condensed fashion, the breathing exercises and everything. During this call, you mentioned that we're on this path. And one of the things that drew me to you was the endorsement that Dr. Joe Dispenza gave. I think you probably know who he is.
I do.
Yeah. So I've been working with him and doing the meditations with him. And something drew me to the Shift Network, where I've been working also with Raja Chowdhury and his Advanced Kundalini course right before yours today. So all of the stuff is coming together for me right now. And like the previous comment, they were feeling this energy. I'm stuck in it right now. It's up in my head. My teeth are, bottom and top teeth are numb because there's so much energy here. At night, it takes 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams of melatonin for me to sleep at night because of all this energy that's flowing in through me, and it seems to be stuck. So maybe, I don't know where to go with it. I've been breathing, trying to ground myself, bring it back down into the ground. Just that, intuitive sense to bring that back down.
You bet.
But so far, this energy is just,
yeah.
The vibrations you talk about, the sensations, it's all there for me right now.
Yeah,
even.
It's happening right now.
So, do you have any guidance maybe at this point?
You bet I do.
Whack me or something?
So what I want to invite you to do, if you're having this kind of, overload, your circuits are trying to catch up to what practices you're doing, probably by gathering a variety of practices together collectively at the same time. It's just a lot happening for your system. So I would suggest that you belly breathe, breath of fire, from your belly from, you know, this second, third chakra area down through Mula Bandha to chakra 10, which you're going to learn more about chakra 10 as we proceed. But keep going from mid-body down into the earth. And when you inhale, only come up from the earth to the heart, only as high as the heart, and then exhale back down to chakra 10, 2 feet beneath where you sit, and then inhale up from chakra 10, only as high as the heart. And so you're going to take your central channel and only emphasize the lower half of your central channel right now. I also want to encourage you to be more physical than you normally would be. Like get in an exercise program, do lunges or lift weights or both, you know, lunges and squats and things that are literally activating the lower half of your body. Is going to be helpful, but I want it to be physical. Like you get in there and just, you know, chop wood, carry water, do something that's going to allow you to experience your physicality. Because what's happening is you're enlivening and things are happening, and this high brain center area somehow hasn't been supported enough to be integrating as you're rising. And so I want you to be very aware of taking your foot off the gas with trying to accomplish more with your rising consciousness, and put your foot on the gas with being human and getting physical and coming right into the body as much as you can, just for a short period of time. And I feel quite confident that probably by the next module that we have, you're going to feel a difference just within a few days of doing what I'm talking about. You know, the empower step that we learned from the intro course, do that every day, but also breathe just from the core of your body into the earth, up to the core, back to the earth. Just don't try and take it up any higher right now. Your system's just trying to acclimate to the high frequency energies that you're doing. You know, I know Dr. Joe's meditations are very centered on bringing it up in here. And you know, I just had dinner with
that pineal gland, get it going. That's what it's all about. So you can be, you know, with that spirit. And
yeah.
I mean,
So,
I'm indoctrinated into that by now, you know, almost.
You bet. And no problem. No problem. I just want you to now bring your emphasis into bringing spirit into the body. Embodiment is what you need right now. Anytime anyone feels like you're up in too much of this, enlightenment has been too much of the focus, and embodiment needs to come along to balance that out for you. And it will. It'll be very helpful for you to just get physical right now for this next week, a week and a half or so, up until we get our next module in. I think you're going to feel a real difference already. I just had dinner with Dr. Joe last night. He's endorsing the book. I have a book that's coming out this March of 2019, and he's very supportive, and it's
I can't wait to read it.
So we get to put it all together. That's the point, right? It's all good, and anytime anyone's discomfort is rising because of practices that you're doing, you're just getting too much up in here, and it's time to just bring it down here. You're not going to lose anything that you've accomplished. Don't worry. You know, we sometimes get afraid that I've been several weeks into this. I don't want to lose the momentum. Don't you worry. It's not going anywhere. It just shouldn't be overwhelming.
I mean, during his meditations, I was able to drop down into alpha, you know, and even theta, you know, with ease. And now I can't even meditate anymore because of this craziness going on. So,
but you got to get in the body. It's not just about bringing your mind to a lower frequency. It's about getting in the body, tethering your mind to the body. So I want you to be super conscious of every step you take, and do lunges with weights in your hands, and look at your feet when you step forward with one and come back and step forward with the other one. Just become very focused on your physicality, and it will distribute this good work that you've done into the body, which will ground it, and then it won't be uncomfortable for you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Sue, very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, David. Great. Okay. So we have an anonymous question coming in, and it says, make sure I'm good. I was on antidepressants for 19 years and have taken various courses, but always felt that my medication blocked me somehow, and I felt I couldn't access my soul. Do you have any thoughts on this? I was able to finally get off all medication earlier this year and can feel a difference already.
Well, hallelujah. And what I know is that if you were in a situation where you needed to be medicated, that too was a part of your bus stop conversation and a part of your soul's plan. Being able to come off of that is also a great stride in your soul plan unfolding. And the point of reference that you will have by having been on the medication and now not being on the medication will serve your ability to awaken to what it feels like to be operating from the soul. So it doesn't negate your ability to connect, but it does greatly change your ability to, the way in which you connect when we are medicated. You being able to come off the medication, you know, it lightens my heart so much, because I know that you will make great strides. But I don't want you to spend 1 minute regretting the fact that you had to be there or thinking that you missed anything, because the fact that you can flip that with this work into an entirely different or an entirely new version of yourself will actually be enhanced, because you have the point of distinction to know the difference, because you know what you used to not feel, you're going to be, it will accentuate what you are able to now feel. It will make it more, you'll have greater distinction over what you are able to feel. So no time has been wasted.
Great, thank you so much. And let's see here. Jennifer was asking, what is breath of the fire breath Dr. Sue mentioned on the last question?
Sure. So the breath of fire is, take a breath in, everyone. Take a breath in, big belly breath, always, only, ever. Now exhale, belly back to the spine. I just mean always, only, ever in the breath work that we're working with, unless I mention otherwise. So exhale, navel back to the spine. Inhale, big Buddha belly. Exhale, navel back to the spine. Now don't try to inhale, but just relax your belly and then exhale again. And then relax your belly and then exhale again. And then relax your belly and exhale again. So then just exhale, 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 exhale. You only concentrate on the exhale. You don't have to consciously inhale. Just, and when you do that, it stokes a fire in the belly, literally, and it burns up karmic residue, and it activates the wisdom center, and it allows energy to rise in your system that is supportive to integration and infusing and piercing the veils between the chakras, which are the levels of consciousness. Remember this? The chakras are levels of consciousness. We want to tap all of our levels of consciousness collectively. And as we do, we begin to meld together. Breath of fire facilitates that process. So what I was utilizing with David to answer his question was, breath of fire is going to let him melt down into his body, because what's happened is he's been utilizing practices of a variety of resources, and meditating and coming up into these high frequency, high brain center places. And so there's a higher energy in his system, but his system doesn't have the circuits in place yet to embody it. And so breath of fire is going to help him melt down into that and build those circuits more quickly. So that should help with the breath of fire. And then David, I would also say in addition to that, just because this is part of our whole conversation with everyone now, is that take it to the body. Where in my body do I need to bring my attention to solve this overstimulation that I'm feeling with the numbness and the tingling and all of this? And your body is going to tell your mind what you need. So take it to the body and say, where in the body do I need to build more circuits to be able to pull all this down into my system and inhabit it, rather than feel two separate, versions of energy in my system. So then build the circuits in the body as well. Okay.
Great, thank you. We're wanting to know if sex helps you get back into the body.
It sure does. I highly recommend it. If it is in a loving presence, all the better. It is sexual energy is energy that is infusing into every cell of the body. It is sexual energy is actually a cheap imitation of what illumination feels like, but it's a darn good second, runner up. Okay. So if we can be in the core of the body and be in the anchor points and be in a state of love, the sexual energy rising through the body has a tremendous integrative effect. Just give the whole thing to the higher self. Give the whole experience to God, if you will. Give it to the highest frequency version of reality. Because as you do that, you infuse that intention into every cell of the body. It's a beautiful way to, Tantra is all about how to utilize this kind of cosmic consciousness for enlightenment and embodiment. So sex in and of itself won't get the job done, but conscious lovemaking certainly will. Yeah.
Great, thank you. This comes from Carol. She says she has issues doing the breath of fire because my stomach gets stuck underneath diaphragm and almost herniates. Then I have to pull my stomach down with a lot of hard work. Any thoughts?
Say the beginning of that. When doing breath of fire, that happens?
Yeah, her stomach gets stuck underneath her diaphragm and almost herniates.
I would press down with Mula Bandha contracted, press the tip of the tailbone and the ischium, the sits bones, the bones that you sit on, press them down into the earth and elongate your lower body more. If you elongate your body, your torso, create more distance between your shoulders and your hips, contract Mula Bandha and press the whole pelvic bowl into the earth. And what's going to happen is a lifting up will occur in your upper body just because of you push down and your body rises up. Okay. So if you elongate and stretch, it's not going to let your stomach do that. I think you're probably caved in and a little too compressed in your torso, because breath of fire actually should have an opening effect there. If not, I would suggest you lay in cobra face down on a yoga mat and come up just with a gentle cobra, not a big up dog thing, but in cobra. And if you don't know what those are, just Google cobra yoga pose. What's it look like? And I'm writing a book that will, another second book that will answer that for you soon. But in the meantime, just Google cobra and it's going to put a stretch in your torso, in the front side body, in that area, and do breath of fire laying in cobra. Just pull your upper torso up off the yoga mat just a little bit. You follow? And it will stretch and elongate in the solar plexus area. And you do breath of fire in that position. Roll your eyes up and shoot the breath up out your crown. Magnificent exercise. Try to press your thighs toward each other, your knees toward each other, and even your big toes touching if you can, to create this magnified central channel, which will also be, stretching, elongating your torso. It will help you a lot.
Great, thank you. Let's go to, it looks like Red Nancy. I'm going to give you the mic. Go ahead, Red Nancy.
Hi, Dr. Sue. This is Nancy. I met you in October at your workshop in Los Angeles.
Hello, Nancy.
Hi. I had a very fascinating experience. I've had a central channel practice for 26 years. It's like a Kashmir Shaivism practice. And I was recently in a lift, after a party, I took a lift ride. And I was talking to the driver just because I could really feel a presence, and he was playing some kind of Eastern music. And he really kind of did a challenge at me and said, if you have a practice as well, why can't I draw from you? And and my boyfriend was with me, and it was like, I was just being respectful and saying, well, I'm holding myself, I got into a car and I'm holding my energy. And anyway, my boyfriend later said it was almost like a Star Wars thing, that it was like he was being very confrontational in a way, but I was just holding presence. And then that night, and it was really quite wonderful. And then that night, I really felt my whole being become this channel of energy, like from the center of the earth, way up high, and like a very palpable feeling, almost like being in the shower. of energy. But it was just, I'm just so curious because he was saying, I'm doing it like a protection, like he can't draw from me. And so I do feel myself more and more as a column of energy. But I'm curious about this, I'm not, I occasionally feel a bit of the toric field and receive information. I guess I'm wondering how to um, uh, integrate that experience, and his comment that, you know, maybe I'm holding myself really rigidly in the energy because I'm not wanting to, I don't feel safe to maybe expand loving out more. So that's my kind of trying to make a question of this.
So the integration of any experience is pretty much the same. It's about coming into the body, dropping more deeply with more of your concentration into the core of the being, and allowing that energetic to have a landing pad. When we have a place to land, what happens is the energy starts to rise and a sense of self becomes so strong and so robust that we're able to be present with other energies of all sorts without it having an intimidating effect or without us feeling like we have to protect or withdraw. And it also comes with a sense of being available to love, being available to be loved and available to love others, and it's not invasive in any way or threatening in any way. And what gets to happen because of the greater anchoring and the greater integration is we are, the subconscious and the conscious mind both are beginning to perceive a greater sense of well-being. And when that sense of well-being is present, more and more of this higher frequency energy that we've been speaking about, you know, from here gets to drop into the system. And it's made of transmuting energy. It's made of that which solves problems, the idea of problems, and creates a bond between us and everything else that exists. And that bonding is the truth of who we are. We actually are the energy of the space in between the particles. That's where we're headed. So the idea of,
say that sentence again?
we actually are the energy that is in the space in between particles, in between the particles of life. So
like
that's
physicality.
In between anything physical. We are the essence that's in between all physical particles, okay? So when we identify as that essence, it's no longer about who am I and who are you and who do I love and how do I love and is it yours or is it mine? It's like those questions just become, you know, a different conversation than the one we're holding, the one that we're walking around as. So it will just become less and less of an issue for you, whether I wasn't really clear on the question, and I'm not sure who was trying to draw energy from who and who couldn't from who, but what I know is that people draw energy from me all the time, from all over the world, but it's not my energy they're drawing from. I don't let it be. I remain a channel and a toric field flow, and they can drink from my saucer, you follow, because my cup runneth over. And it's my job to keep my cup running over so that the support is there for people all over the world. And every single one of us is capable of the exact same thing. So if someone is unable to draw energy from me, it's a choice that they're holding themselves separate from. So I could just go on forever, but I'm not really sure that I'm speaking to what you're asking because I'm not really sure what you're asking.
Yeah, I didn't have a very clearly defined question either, but I noticed something in what he said. Possibly I felt that I might hold myself as an identity of this column of energy maybe, and not feel a well-being. Like when he said he couldn't draw from me, it offended me, and I felt myself become more, you know, like more in my mula bandha, more like now. Anyway,
So,
as you were speaking, I started to relax and feel what I wanted.
what you wanted to feel. Excellent. Well, I can tell you, if you got offended, you're living in the mental emotional body, you know, because it's not to be offended by. It's just what is. Okay. So I would suggest that what it's in your life for is for you to recognize that if I'm offended by anything, I have to take it to the body and see, why on earth would I choose to be offended by anything when I have a project of this magnitude at hand? Why would I stop anything and let anything trip me up on this kind of a project because of something someone says or does? It's just not, it doesn't get to have the magnitude in my life that it could stop me or stymie me in any way. My job is to let all this love come into this body and let it churn this machine that is this transmuting capacity that I am truly made of. And as I learn to do that, nothing will offend me. And so if in the meantime things are offending me, then they're here for me to recognize, oh, I have more circuits to build. Awesome. Where? Oh, well, I'll take my attention to the body, and the body's going to tell me where I need to build those circuits so that I am this unconditional churning love machine, man. I am made of light and transmuting capacity all the time. Bring it, because I can transmute it. You follow? You got it? You've got this. Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, let's see here. So we're right at the top of the hour, but maybe just this last question. E.M. Dowdman was saying, will these transmissions only happen when we watch live, or can we receive on the recordings as well?
Yeah, it's a vibration. It has a little enhancement when it's live because there are more people watching at the same time than when we watch the recording, but the energy is in the recording no matter. It's there for you. It's about an energetic patterning that happens, and it takes our consciousness through it as the conversation is unfolding. There's an extra reverberation and benefit when somebody, you know, around the world is also doing that at the same time, but you'll get it either way. No worries.
Great. So yeah, we're here at the top of the hour, and I appreciate everyone's questions and comments coming in, and I welcome you all to offer these up on the community Facebook group, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. First off, Dr. Sue, did you want to just reiterate some of the deepening practices again for this week?
Sure. Yeah, so I do want you to spend time in nature as soon as you can, because it automatically just brings you here. And if you'll do so while you're also focusing on, you know, what we're talking about and what the big picture project is here, right? This is a big thing, and it's you. You're a big thing, right? And so as you allow nature here in this physical dimension to be in your conscious awareness enhanced, it's going to bring you into alpha frequency, into theta frequency, into these deep states where higher thought frequencies can reside without them carrying you away or without causing, you know, physical issue for you. Just one step at a time. You know, we don't have to rush into this, but we do want to make ourselves available for these processes to help. So spend time in nature, and specifically the invitation to build a relationship with the night sky starting now. And please maintain that relationship throughout our entire process, because we have some big things coming that we want to be able to process. And all that kind of energetic support is going to be there for us as we do so. I also want to invite you guys to keep a journal to track some of the things that you are experiencing throughout this course, to every day write a little something about the practices that you're doing. And again, we want take it to the body to be a regular practice every day, not just when something upsets you, but I want you to consciously and intentionally set some envisioning practices, some envisioning ideas, set them free in your system. Like, think about what would you love to be able to accomplish through this coursework, as far as not in the outer world, but in the inner world. I want to be this way. I want to feel this way. This is my intention. And as you set that intention, take it to the body and build some circuits on what shows up for you. Because if you'll do that during this time frame before our next module, your system is going to have more circuits in place for being able to receive and perceive where we're headed. Because you know, this is mostly review, but bringing in a higher perspective in our review, and we'll do a little bit of review next time, but then we have liftoff happening, okay? So right now it's important for you to be operating by building conscious and intentional circuitry for remembering, for carrying the capacity of the full, you know, I am the full soulful self in this body, to build the circuitry for illumination, for embodiment. And keep a journal. Write something in the journal every day, even if it's just a sentence that you did about something you did this and it felt this way. And if you can get detail, I don't want you to keep a journal about, oh, so-and-so said this and I feel this way and all of that. It's not, this isn't the journal that we're talking about. Maybe you have another journal that you're doing that. This is a journal of, I'm doing these practices, this is my intention, I'm building circuits in this way, and it physically feels this, or I'm able to perceive the real possibility that this could apply to me too. I'm actually feeling it on a cellular level, that I am made of the absolute, the invisible, the cosmos, and I am this channel coming here into this physical dimension. And I get that nothing's going to get in the way of that. I'm going to utilize everything that crosses my path as a sign from the divine, showing me how to build the circuits that I need to accomplish this project. That's what it's about for me, and that's what I'm doing. So keep a journal in that way, so that you're listing the things that you're doing and the things that you intend, and noticing what's happening along the way, because it's going to serve you a lot as the course goes on, and in, you know, any work in the future that we would be doing. It's good for you to have evidence of your style of working with this work and how it out pictures for you. All right. I'd also like for you to do best release at least once between now and our next course, clearing on anything. Set an intention with this course about some of the things that I've just said, and utilize best release there once, just to get it honed in your mind again. Because we're going to go big with some cosmic conversation. To do so, we have to be able to get into this physicality with it without interference on the line. Right? We got to get the trap door open so that we can embody the stuff that we're going to be talking about. So if you can just initiate the idea, okay, let's warm up the old notes on best release and break that out again, and take a look at how to remove some interference and get the trap door open a little.
Great, thank you so much. So yeah, I think Ellen, you were asking where the posters are again, and I just want to remind everyone, so if you go to your course homepage and you click on the golden open button under Module 1, Session 1, you will see all of the course materials listed there for Module 1. And if we need anything else posted, we will keep you posted and notified if we add anything else. So the presence of the soulful self that Dr. Sue held up today, I know many of you are asking, that is listed there on your course homepage. So great, thank you so much, Dr. Sue. And anything else that you want to add?
Absolutely. One last thing. I would like everyone to go through each of the breath works for chakra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go through each of the breath works 3 or 4 times between now and our next module, as I need you awake and cleared up and your trapdoor open and enlivened, because we got some big work to do. So let's just rock it that way together.
Great, thank you, thank you. And we have a, we have a handout on the breathworks? Is that what you're referring to?
It's from the last course.
From the last course. Okay. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
So here we go, folks. Your course homepage, you'll find details on how to connect to your community group on Facebook. And this group is going to provide you an opportunity for you to connect with fellow classmates and to support each other on this journey throughout the course. The open enrollment period for this group is 2 weeks' time. So please do take the time to sign up now. Again, that's in the upper right-hand corner of your course homepage. Facebook join requests can take up to 24 hours to process, and then after this period, we will change the group status to secret for the benefit of your privacy. However, this also makes it take just a little bit longer to enroll after this 2 weeks time. So do go check that out today. No, Marlene, I do not believe the Facebook group is the same as the intro course. It's a brand new Facebook group. So head over to your course homepage or one of the emails, and there definitely will be information there. What's great about the Facebook community group as well is we have like 11 facilitators, Dr. Sue, or something, 11, 12 amazing facilitators.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So we're going to have tons of help on the Facebook community group for you, and it will be very active over there. So offer your questions up, anything that you know you need to get more clarity on. The facilitators will be there to assist you. So check that out today. And again, the 7-week introductory course with Dr. Sue that she spoke about today is also located on your course homepage. That's there's a button in the upper left-hand corner. So over the next couple of weeks, you will have time to check that out again. And as Dr. Sue get warmed up with the best release and taking it to the body and all of that amazing work. So check that out there. It is available to you. So thank you so much, Dr. Sue. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. My great pleasure.
Yeah.
I look forward. You guys get ready because we're gonna roll it. It's an amazing opportunity to do some very rich, deep work, and with the platform of the shift, we get to do this with people around the world at the same time. So I am very blessed. You are very blessed. We are blessed to be here together at this time, and I so look forward to our next go at it, which is in a couple of weeks, right?
Yep, couple weeks time.
Okay.
Same time and same place. Thanks,
Okay.
Dr. Sue.
All right.
Thank you,
Goodbye,
everyone.
everybody.
See you soon.